This building that we call the old fish house used to be a convenience store. There's even an old gas pump here. Hey Goober, fill her up, would you? I live in a really old house in a rural area, and I guess back in the day you would just randomly find gas stations. I haven't had anyone pull into my driveway thinking this is a gas station, but if that did happen, it'd be hilarious. So yeah, this building is really old. It was built in 1897. The beta section is even older than that. At least that's what I've been told. There was no air conditioning way back then, so at some point, this window unit air conditioner was put in. And it kind of works, but the old thing has got to go. We'll let the kid look at it. Let's see, we've got these pushy button things, this zippy thing. That didn't do it. Hold on, I'll be right there. Replacing that window unit is something I've wanted to do ever since we moved into this place. But I didn't want to replace it with just another window unit because that doesn't do anything for the beta section. Instead, what I really wanted to do was install a dual zone mini split system. The only problem is mini split systems for a building this size are really expensive. So it's been on our list of things to save up for, and we've just dealt with that crappy old window unit just to get us by. That is, until we got an email from Mr. Cool. If you're not familiar with Mr. Cool, they're one of the biggest manufacturers of mini splits, and they asked me if I'd be interested in getting one of their systems. Yes, please. They have a DIY system that's ready to go, that's easy for anyone with a general knowledge of tools to install. So they sent me one. What can I say? I'm a lucky guy. I talked to a lot of people that have converted sheds or garages into fish rooms, and this is absolutely perfect for those people. Or maybe you just have an old building like ours that needs air conditioning and heat in it. Well, here you go. When the crate for this system was first delivered, my first reaction was, wow, that's a lot bigger than I expected. But because of the size of the building and the fact that it's 2 zones, it needed to be this big. This system is capable of running up to 5 air handlers from 1 condenser unit. Wait a minute, I'm getting way ahead of myself. Let me explain what all these things are. The best way that I can find to do that is the good old Casey Neistat style. A typical home HVAC system has an outdoor unit called a condenser. The condenser is connected to the indoor unit with what's called line sets. These are the pipes that transport the refrigerant from one unit to the other. The indoor unit is called an air handler, or if you're a gas customer, it's a furnace. From the air handler, you have a series of ducts that go to the individual vents in each room. Make sense? With a mini split, it's the same concept, but it's much more simplified. You have the condenser unit outside, and there's line sets that connect to the indoor air handler, but that's where it stops. There's no ductwork. Basically, you'll put one of these air handlers in each room that you need HVAC and run the line sets to each one. So now you know what it is, let's talk about installing it. I installed this system over the course of 4 days. Did it take me 4 full days to install it? No way. I just worked on it in small bits each day. Basically, I fit in working on it when I wasn't doing other things. I'd say the whole process of installing it took 6 to 8 hours. The air handlers are a breeze to install. Mr. Cool includes a template you use as a guide to drill your holes and then attach the mounting bracket. There's also the big hole that needs to be drilled for the line sets, and this was super easy to do with the hole saw that was included with the kit. Once the bracket's installed, it's just a matter of running the power cable, condensation drain, and line sets through the hole and hanging it on the bracket. Mine took a little extra time because the one in the main section was up over the saltwater tank, and the one in the beta section had a little piece of trim I had to remove. No big deal. Once the air handlers were installed, it was time to get the condenser set. Mr. Cool sent along a mounting bracket for attaching the condenser to the building. This bracket was easy to install with the included hardware, but in my case, it turned out to be a mistake. It's not the bracket's fault. It's this old building, it just doesn't have the proper support behind the siding for something like this to be installed on it. Not a problem, it works for now, but down the road, I'll be pouring a small slab to rest the condenser on. With the bracket installed, Lisa helped me get the condenser up on it and level it out. And this is actually when I realized the issue with the structure of the building. Again, it's not the bracket's fault, it's the building's fault. Once the condenser was set, it was smooth sailing from there. Well, kinda. I'll explain in a bit. My line sets came in a 25-foot coil. These coils are offered in a bunch of different lengths, but I chose the longer ones just to be safe. Turns out, I could have gone with something much shorter, but hey, a little extra length is never a bad thing, right?
That's what she said.
With the line sets run, I attached them to the stubs that are attached to the air handlers sticking out of the wall and the other ends to the condensers with crescent wrenches that are also included as part of the DIY kit. Nice little bonus. After the line sets are all hooked up, there's caps on the ends of all of the pipes that you remove and insert the included Mr. Cool Allen key to open the valves and release the refrigerant into the system. More on this later. I used a small spray bottle with soapy water to spray all the joints and make sure there wasn't any leaks. And wouldn't you know it, there were no leaks at all. Next is powering the system, and this is where I would recommend utilizing a professional. I know that's not what you see me doing, but I used to wire up condensers and air handlers for a living, so I knew how to do it. Plus, the breaker panel is right next to the unit, so it was super easy. The only issue I had was finding the appropriate size wire for this. My brother told me I needed 8-2 wire, and you gotta always do what your big brother says, right? Especially when your brother is a master HVAC technician, and this wire was impossible to find. I went to 4 different places with no luck and just ended up ordering it online, which is another reason why it took 4 days. Anyway, hooking up the power from the air handler to the condenser with the wire that's included in the kit was super simple because everything's numbered. And once it was all hooked up, I turned on the breaker and... I heard it. Everything was up and running. Just like that, we had air in the old fish house. But that's not the end of the story. At this point in the project, I was super happy to finally have air moving in the building, but I walked away and came back a little later and said, hey, wait a minute, there's air moving, but it's just air. It's not cold air. And there's an error on the display saying PCO3. I checked over everything, Googled what the hell PCO3 means, and couldn't really get anywhere. So next day, I reached out to my contact at Mr. Cool and told them what was going on. They got back to me right away and asked if I opened the king valves. I had no idea what the king valves are, so I referred to the manual, and there it is, plain as day. It says you've got to open the king valves, which are right above the other valves. Pays to read the instructions, kids. Once I opened the king valves, the air coming out of the system was so cold I had to turn it up a bit. This thing was not only cooling, but it changed the entire atmosphere in the fish house. It went from being muggy and humid to a very pleasant place to hang out. I could not be happier. But that's not the end of the project. Mr. Cool also sent along these covers for outside. These cover the line sets as they're running down the wall, make it look a whole lot more professional, and they're super easy to install. So there we are. It's all installed, and now that it's installed correctly, it is running beautifully. And I gotta tell you, it has changed the entire vibe of this building. No longer is it, oh, it's so hot out there, I don't even wanna go work out there today. Instead, it's like, oh, feels good out there. Let's go hang out for a while. So is this something that you should consider for your fish house or your garage or whatever project that you have going? Is it something that is suitable for the average DIYer? Yes, absolutely. If you're someone that has a general knowledge of how to use a drill and how to use wrenches, you're going to find this to be very, very easy. Just please take my advice. Don't be like me. Read the directions. I have to send out a huge thank you to Mr. Cool for believing that our channel is one worthy of showcasing their products on. Thank you so much for that. You've completely changed this building. If you are interested in any of Mr. Cool's products, I'll put a link in the description to their website where you can see all the information you need on all their products. If you want to see even more detail about the installation of this system, I did it on my 31-day vlog over the course of, I think, 4 different days. You can see all of the ups and downs. I'll put a link to that playlist right here, and while you're there, just watch the whole thing. Help us out. Thanks for watching.